Hi and welcome to my tutorial on how to do proper diaphragmatic breathing to aid in postpartum core recovery, also to help with supporting your baby throughout pregnancy. There are a couple of things that you need to know beforehand when it comes to diaphragmatic breathing and core rehabilitation. Number one is that it isn't just the Kegel, just the pelvic floor that helps with strengthening and getting a functional pelvic floor. It also incorporates the whole core. Also, it isn't just about the strength of your pelvic floor, it's also about releasing and relaxing at the bottom. And then number three is that it's not just about drawing your belly button in towards the spine, it's about moving everything in closer together and lifting up. So, that being said, let's begin. Step one is that we want your body to be in proper alignment to have the breathing work correctly. So you can either take a seated position as I am, you can lie down on a mat on your back, or you can also lie on your side. The key is to have your shoulders and your hips in line if you're seated or if you're lying. So stacked right on top of it. People also call that ribs over hips. Also, you want to find a neutral seated position so you're not rolling back onto your sacrum and you're not leaning forwards onto the front of your sits bones. You want, imagine a string up from the top of your head and it's drawing you up nice and tall. You can play around with your pelvis to see where it feels comfortable and naturally sitting on the top of your sits bones. So once you've found that comfortable position, we're going to begin by putting a hand on our chest and on our belly. You can also close your eyes. We're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. When you are taking that breath in, you want to make sure that you're expanding the rib cage 360 degrees and relaxing. Forget about the pelvic floor to start with. We're just going to focus on the rib cage, in through the nose, out through the mouth. A few more breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. So the hand on the chest and on the belly is to make sure that they are rising at the same rate and that you're not breathing all into your belly and you're not breathing only into your chest. We want it to be even. And we also want you to be breathing around your bra band. So deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Next, we're going to pay some attention to what the pelvic floor is doing while we are doing the inhale and the exhale. So on the inhale, we want to soften. Imagine your pelvic floor falling away into the floor. Inhale, ribs expand, pelvic floor softens. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale, pelvic floor stays soft. Exhale through the mouth. Couple more breaths, really paying attention on being able to relax the pelvic floor and soften the glutes. Make sure you're not holding any tension in the glutes as well. couple more breaths to yourself doing it that way. Good. Okay, next step is to add a contraction of the pelvic floor. When we are doing a pelvic floor contraction, think about the walls of your vagina moving closer together, but then also a slight lift towards your rib cage. So things going closer together and then lifting up towards your belly button, up towards your rib cage. Also, you can use your hands as you exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Think in and up. Inhale. Everything softens. Pelvic floor contracts with the exhale, in and up. Everything softens and expands with the inhale. Also, there are a couple of other things to pay attention to as you do all of those together. You're thinking about the pelvic floor and the diaphragm. Diaphragm is moving up as the pelvic floor moves up. Rib cage goes in as you exhale, and then as you inhale, pelvic floor softens, diaphragm descends, ribs move out. So there are a few things for you to be focusing on when it comes to incorporating your diaphragmatic breathing. It does take practice, but do as many as you can using a good contraction and then resting. So that might only be 10 to start with, and that is fine, and then slowly adding more as your pelvic floor gets stronger. Something else that you might find useful when trying to do the Kegel part, the pelvic floor contraction, is to think of some visuals to help you. And everybody can use different ones. Some might find one thing more successful and that you get a better pelvic floor contraction thinking of one thing, whereas somebody might think, oh, no, that's not working for me. So you can imagine, one that I like to use for myself is picturing a elevator moving up through the levels of a building. So you can start off by just going to level 1, lifting up slightly, so like a 10% contraction, then elevator moving back down, moving up to level 2, 3, 4, you can go test out exactly how high you feel that you can get the elevator, so to say. Another thing is to imagine maybe a jellyfish floating through the ocean. So as it contracts, it rises up, and as it relaxes, it floats down. As it contracts, it rises up. As it relaxes, it floats back down. So jellyfish is another good one to use. Some people like the visual of picking up a blueberry with their vagina. Small little blueberry, so very delicately lifting it up off of the floor and then again delicately dropping it back down. There are 3 of my favourites that I like to use. Try a few out in your head as you're doing the breathing and see if you can notice a difference between the strength in the control and the ability to relax. A cue with relaxing as well, if you think about a flower blossoming, that's a really good way to help you to release the pelvic floor. If you have a tight pelvic floor, then really focus on the releasing element of the diaphragmatic breathing. If tightness isn't necessarily your issue, then still focus on the relaxing, but pay more attention to the exhale and the contracting. The only way you will know that, though, is going to a pelvic floor physio, which I always recommend. If you do have any questions though, feel free to message me and I can help you out, and I can even talk you through some of the breathing if need be.